Welcome back. It's time for everyone's favorite sports debate here on Midco SN Head-2-Head, brought to you by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort. A quick rundown of the rules. We put two Midco personalities against each other. I ask up to 5 questions. They each have 30 seconds to prove their point. I decide who proved their point best, but since we are in the semifinals, we have a jury to decide who proved the point best, featuring Jason Andera and Tom Neiman here in Sioux Falls. And then up in Grand Forks, Alex Heinert, dressed for the part. So let's take a look at the bracket because we have a heated semifinal matchup today. David Brown at the 1 seed and Jay Elsen at the 4 seed. This is a cubicle battle going at it today in Sioux Falls. So we did a coin flip before the segment, and Jay won. He is elected to go first. So, you guys ready?
Let's do it.
All right, question number 1. What are the chances, so you're saying there's a chance, of an SDSU NDSU national championship?
Well, the fact that they're here makes it a chance, and that's great news. I think overall the chances that we see them meet in Frisco, Texas, good, not great. I'm going to put it at 50-50 because I think NDSU will hold up its end against Sam Houston State on Friday night. The game I'm looking at is Saturday in Harrisonburg, Virginia, rather. JMU not invincible. We saw that last week in their game against Weber State. The Jacks have won 7 straight. They're rolling. They've been playing football ever since that UNI loss, but their last 5 games have been played in the state of South Dakota, and that's a little concerning for me because you got to go on the road now against a team that gives up 10 points a game, and that includes that matchup last week against Weber State.
Ooh, all right, David.
I'll put it at slightly less than 50-50. I will say 40%. I agree with Jay. I don't think NDSU is going to have any problem with Sam Houston State based on past precedent in the playoffs against the Bearcats. So the key is that SDSU James Madison game. James Madison last week was the first time they gave up more than 14 points in a game all season long, but Weber State has only the 43rd best offense in all of the FCS. SDSU a little bit higher at 13th, but Dallas Goddard, that's going to be the key. He's injured right now. We don't know how much he'll be able to play, if at all, on Saturday. That's going to diminish the passing game a little bit. SDSU still has the offense to put up points, but I give them a little less than 50-50, 40% chance.
And I don't think James Madison's going to allow themselves to play the way they did last week against Weber State. I think they're going to be woken and ready to go, trying to get back to Frisco for a second straight year.
And Richmond, the only offense in the top 10 in the FCS that James Madison faced this year, they held them to 13 points earlier in the regular season, so the JMU defense a little bit better than that 50-50 chance you gave them. I'll say 60-40 JMU.
All right, our judges have been listening intently over here. We'll start with Jason Andera.
I'll tell you what, I think that it's a little more than 50% chance. I don't think JMU has seen the best conference yet this year. I'm going to go Jay. He was closer with 50-50.
Tom?
Totally agree. I don't like either argument, but I'm going to
And to Alex
gives
Heinert.
SDSU the higher chance.
I was going to take Dave Brown. I think Dave made some good sense with Weber State not being a very good offense, but still having success. Obviously, this vote doesn't matter, though. Jay's already got the point.
All right, Jay Elsen up
you.
1-2. No, that's
Thank
official.
you all very much.
Oh my gosh. All right, question number 2 for David Brown. How much will a healthy Aaron Rodgers affect the Packers in these last 3 games?
Exponentially. I know Jay's a huge Packers fan, but you don't even need green and gold glasses to see that Aaron Rodgers will make a difference. You really think the Packers would have gone to overtime in back-to-back games against Tampa and Cleveland with Aaron Rodgers? I don't think so. Keep this in mind. With Aaron Rodgers starting, Packers averaged 27.5 points per game. With Brett Hundley starting, 18.5. That's a 9-point difference. That's more than 2 possessions. And for as maligned as the Green Bay defense is, they gave up 22.5 points during Aaron Rodgers starts. With Brett Hundley starts, only 24 points. That's only a 1.5 difference. They may give up a lot of yards, but not a lot of points. The difference is the offense. A full touchdown difference is what Aaron Rodgers makes.
Yeah, Rodgers has played, remember, just 5 games. Really, I'm going to keep it at 5 because he got hurt so early in that Vikings game. But really, Brett Hundley's played 8 games. He's thrown for only just about 200 yards more. He's thrown for 5 less touchdowns and 5 more interceptions in that time. And so it's obviously going to be a huge boost. If he plays, that's the question we still don't really know the answer to yet. It's not quite determined. So if he plays, it's certainly going to make them better. If he doesn't play and they lose this week at Carolina, there's absolutely 0 chance or 0 need to bring him back because it's not worth the risk, and therefore he wouldn't have any effect at all.
I agree with everything you just said, but the question specifically was on a healthy Aaron Rodgers, how much he would impact them.
But we don't know if he's healthy. That's the problem.
Exactly. That's another question altogether. The question is specifically a healthy Aaron Rodgers.
Look, with 12 on the field, there's no doubt that the Packers are a better team. They're more dangerous. They can overcome some of those deficiencies you mentioned on defense. And, they're certainly a contender for a playoff spot. But until we get the word that, yes, he's healthy, then it's kind of an irrelevant argument.
The question's based on a healthy Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, going to the judges. Tom, your first vote.
I'm going with David Brown because he addressed the question, and it's not going to make a difference anyway because the Vikings are going to beat him and knock him out of the playoffs.
Oh, my goodness.
I hate to take the drama out of this, but I think David is right as well. I think the question of whether he's healthy or not is not much of a question. I don't even follow the Packers, but his collarbone is actually stronger than it was before. They're waiting for some density number, but he really wants to play. He'll play. David gets the vote.
Thank you, Dr. Andera. And over
I'm
to
gonna go with Jay.
Alex Heiner.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Dave Brown gets the point.
Oh, my
From the
goodness.
Supreme Court.
All right, all tied up 1-1. Question number 3. Oh boy, this is a good one. What is the worst part of the Ball family signing in Lithuania?
This
Starting
is
with
tough
Jay.
to narrow down. But for me, it's the fact that LaMelo Ball is part of this whole deal at all. LeVar, LiAngelo, those are grown men, people. You have to remember that LiAngelo Ball is a 16-year-old kid, all right? I'll acknowledge the fact that at least outwardly he seems to be a willing participant in all this, but there's no way to know how he really feels. I mean, come to think about it, this kid he just got ripped out of high school a couple of months ago. Now he's getting sent halfway around the world to play basketball professionally. Guess who made those decisions? It wasn't him. He's just following the lead of his dad, as poor of judgment as that might be. And the kid, his hands are kind of tied here.
All right, David.
The worst part about this is that we have to talk about them. LeVar Ball's antics have hijacked his kid's future. And to get rid of the worst part, talking about them, I'm just not going to talk about them anymore to not seem like a hypocrite. So I cede the rest of my time.
Bold strategy, David. All right, Jay, any rebuttals?
He's not arguing the question, so
No,
I think we just went down this road.
No, the worst part of the Ball family
and argue it. So look, his kid's getting used by a guy who's trying to live vicariously through. We all have a problem with parents who do this. He is the king of it, LeVar meaning. And LiAngelo, or LaMelo rather, is just kind of a victim in all this.
The question is, what's the worst part of them signing in Lithuania? I said the worst part is
you
talking
are
about
a real
them.
letter of the law kind of guy today, aren't you?
I am.
All right, Jandy, what's your vote?
I mean, with the first sentence, I knew that Dave was winning this one because we have talked far too long about LeVar Ball, and he did answer the question, hit it on the head.
Jay addressed the question, actually, in this one. So I'm going to go with Jay on this one.
All the pressure on Alex. What do you think?
So much power for the first time here today. No, I go with Jay. I agree with what David said about the fact this is a story that we don't really care about anymore. But I feel bad for the kid.
Then vote for me if you don't care about it anymore. Just saying.
Feels bad
my
for the kid. I
goodness.
think good call, Alex.
All right, Jay is up 2-1. David Brown, we have a Vikings question for you. I know you'll like this one, so here we go. Will Teddy Bridgewater start a game this year?
Start, no. Play, yes. I just think there's too much at stake in these final 3 games, and you have to stick the course with Case Keenum. He played bad against Carolina, but not bad enough to pull him. The Vikings will probably win against the Bengals and get the division title on Sunday, but again, the #1 seed, if at all possible, and a home field advantage, if at all possible, or a first-round bye, won't be clinched until Week 17, if at all, for Minnesota. I still feel iffy about them going to Green Bay if we have a healthy Aaron Rodgers, but against the Bears, Week 17 at home, they'll be focused. They'll get a 20-plus point lead, put Teddy in the second half to get him some reps in case they need him in the playoffs.
I'm actually going to say no to this one altogether. And to me, it seems like a kind of a calculated move by Minnesota and Rick Spielman. Under the current collective bargaining agreement, since Bridgewater was placed on the physically unable to perform list, and he was there until at least week 6 of the regular season, in the final year of his contract, that means Minnesota can delay the final year of his rookie contract, which was set to expire this year and now goes to 2018. Think of it like a red shirt in college football. They call it tolling. Figure out that word, whatever it means to you. But now if it plays out like that, it's going to be a tremendously favorable situation for the Vikings because he'd only be on the books for a little over $1 million, and that's a pretty good deal for a starting quarterback next year.
Those are the rules, but an arbitrator has yet to determine if the contract can necessarily toll. That's something that's going to be determined after this season. Plus, when you read Mike Zimmer's mind and you hear him in press conferences, he wants Teddy to play at some point. He just can't make the switch right now.
I don't know how it's better to go to a guy who hasn't played football in a year and a half when you're trying to clinch all those things that you were talking about. I think Case Keenum has gotten you to this point.
I agree with.
Case Keenum has gotten you to this point. He hasn't lost you really a football game yet. Ride it out, and then if it works out in your favor financially going forward, I think it's a win-win.
And again, the question is, will he start? You and I agree he won't start, but I'm saying he's going to play.
Will he start? No, I don't think he will play, period.
Okay, to the biggest Case Keenum fan here, Tom Neiman, what's your vote?
100% Jay on this one. It was not Case Keenum's fault that they lost to Carolina this past weekend, and Jay is totally right about the contract. It's a ridiculous argument that they would even play Teddy Bridgewater at all this season. Apologies to Nathan Ahmed.
Unfortunately, Jay is not totally right about the contract. Dave is exactly right on the trolling. That is just the fact that they activated him lets you know that they're going to take a chance that he may play. And if they really didn't want him to play in a trolling instance, they would have not even activated him. So Dave is much more correct on this answer.
And it's tolling.
Tolling, not trolling.
Trolling.
And
I
he's
was
there
like,
for
oh, is he
trolling.
roasting him
That's why
on
I'm in the
Twitter?
losing chair.
He's there for an emergency situation.
All right, Judge Alex in Grand Forks.
That's why Jandy's not in the semifinals.
That is exactly right.
Two really good points. I feel like Dave is probably going to be correct. I think that maybe is going to be the case in Week 17.
Oh,
Dave Brown.
man.
All comes down to
tied
this.
up. A season on the line, a trip to Frisco right here. Just kidding, we're staying in Sioux Falls. But, all right, we're stepping away from the sports scene for this last question. So, is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Oh, well, listen here, folks. This is one of my all-time favorite movies, so you got a soft spot here. Can't ignore the fact that there are a lot of Christmas elements to this movie. The Office Christmas Party, for example. But I say, yippee-ki-nay. This is not a Christmas movie. Christmas has to be a central part of the story for it to be a Christmas story, or a Christmas movie rather. Home Alone, Christmas Story, It's a Wonderful Life. Those are Christmas movies. Gremlins, Lethal Weapon, Harry Potter. Those have a lot of Christmas elements, not Christmas movies.
Wow, yippee-ki-nay. All right, David.
Yippee-ki-yay. 1,000 times yes. First of all, takes place on Christmas Eve. Just because Jay's arguing about the spirit of a Christmas movie, movies that he mentioned, others like Christmas Vacation and Elf, great movies, but you don't have to limit yourself to simply spirit of Christmas movies. Second, as Jay mentioned, he's visiting his estranged wife and kids at an office Christmas party. What can be more Christmassy than that? Third, it's not his fault the terrorists take over Nakatomi Plaza on Christmas Eve. And fourth, in the end, he kills all the terrorists, saves most of the hostages, giving them the gift of a renewed life, and in the spirit of giving, that's what makes Die Hard a Christmas movie.
That is the worst thing you've ever said in your life. Not a Christmas
Tell me
movie.
where I'm
What
wrong.
part of that story has anything to do with Christmas? There are parts of it that support the story, yes, but it's not what the story is about. That is what a Christmas movie is.
If you limit yourself to spirit of Christmas movies, you're excluding this and other ones that you mentioned. You had talked about Christmas element. You say there's no Christmas elements in the story. How about when he kills a henchman, writes, now I have a machine gun, ho, 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 and the fact that he uses Christmas packing tape on his back in the climactic scene to hide a gun from the terrorists in order to kill the last henchman and have Hans Gruber fall from 32 stories.
Related materials around in
Christmas
this, given the
essentials
time of year,
are part of
I
the
give you
narrative
that
for the
much,
execution of the plot.
Okay,
Anytime it snows, it's Christmas.
The judges, Jason and Dara.
I love that we're fighting over our head-to-head lives
And Christmas.
over this question. Is Bad Santa a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
Oh, you were asking?
Well, I'm just saying that is considered in the genre because it has Christmas in it. You don't have to. It's not the spirit of Christmas, but it is a Christmas movie. Dave, I agree. It is a Christmas movie.
Ooh, Tommy.
This is the easiest question we've had today. There's no way this is a Christmas movie.
Oh, boo-hoo.
Oh my
Oh, boy.
gosh, Alex Heinert, so
Oh, buddy.
much pressure.
Oh.
I think that given the argument from both, they both make, again, compelling cases. But Jay Elsen,
Oh my
this is not a
goodness.
film that I would watch with my family on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. It's not. It's a movie set around
my
Christmas. It's not a
goodness.
Christmas movie. Jay Elsen, final verdict. Court's adjourned.
Right. Jay Elsen is moving on to the head-to-head championship. David Brown.
Y'all don't understand argumentation.
I love all you guys.
4 seed, 1 seed upset. So thanks for playing, guys. All right, if you have any topics or questions you'd like debated, let us know, especially considering the championship is on Friday. So come up with your best ideas. You can tweet them at me. That's at StuartMidcoSN, or to our network account at MidcoSN. We would love to hear from you guys for the championship. All right, coming up after the break, we're talking SDSU men's hoops. Hear from head coach TJ Otzelberger about the season thus far and tonight's border battle against North Dakota. Stay right here.